Etsy isn't hard. Most sellers are just solving the wrong problem first. They are tweaking their SEO, they are swapping mockups and chasing trends, and then still sitting there with 3 listings live and 47 half-finished designs. So let me show you what actually matters and what you can stop obsessing over. If you're new here, I am the owner of Bailey Design Co., and I've made over 7 figures selling digital designs on Etsy from a low ticket $3 to $5 digital product. I also recently started a brand new Etsy shop and was able to make sales on it within 48 hours, proving that the Etsy marketplace is not saturated as long as you are doing your research and creating products that people actually want. And the longer that I do this, the more that I realize that beginners are not failing because they're not working hard enough. They're failing because they're skipping the really simple parts and overworking the stuff that does not matter. So let's start with the big number one, and this one likes to ruffle up people all of the time, and that is that SEO matters so much less than you think. The Etsy algorithm is not only built on SEO, meaning you could have the perfect SEO and your product will still not rank, and that is because the algorithm is a interest-based algorithm first, meaning Etsy is looking at the buyer and what they have done in the past, what they have searched for, what they have clicked on, and what they have bought, and they are showing them other product listings based on that history. Therefore, if you create something that is not in demand with what is currently selling or trending or what anyone has searched for, it doesn't matter that your SEO is perfect because Etsy's not going to show it. So we all need to stop obsessing over SEO. Within my communities on live calls, I have many times found live research demos that I've been doing and found products that had the worst SEO, or better yet, no SEO at all, or they're using Etsy's AI SEO, and they were still ranking at the top because they had a design that was actively performing well, and it was what people were actually searching for and purchasing. So people love to obsess with thinking that their title is wrong, or that their tags could be better, or that their description could be better formatted. And while yes, SEO can help, it is not the magic button. Your design is, or your product is. SEO helps Etsy understand what your product is, but if it's completely different in terms of the product or the design compared to the SEO of what people are looking for, it still does not matter. The practical advice I can give you for SEO is that it just needs to have a clear title of what someone would actually be typing in the search bar. So for example, if it's a Highland cow design for the summer, it should say something like summer Highland cow PNG, or beachy summer flip-flop PNG if it's a design about flip-flops on the beach for summer. An easy way to look at this is type in the search bar what it is that you're trying to sell, and it will pre-fill if there are any searches already, and then you can take a look at bestsellers and look and see what is actually working for them and model your title off of theirs. They were obviously found, of course, if the listing is performing for that particular set of keywords along with their design concept. That is what is known as a proven title and a proven tag. So we want to take what's working and use it on ours. Now, obviously, we do need to edit it if we did make specific changes, which I do cover that in lots of other videos. You just want to go ahead and modify it based on the changes of how you actually made yours different. So for example, I like to take designs that are performing well and remake them in a different for an upcoming season or holiday. So then I would replace some of those keywords that don't make sense now for the upcoming holiday. So SEO matters, but only after you have chosen something and created something that people actually want, and the data is there on Etsy. You can use a keyword research tool like Profit Tree to actually see what's performing well. I like to look at just a few numbers, such as a low listing age, so under 6 months preferably, and a high number of sales, the higher the better. And then the listing needs to have low reviews, so typically under 1,000 is what I'm looking at. Again, I do have several videos that cover this on the channel, so be sure to check those out after. So the next trap people like to get caught up in is the trend trends and always about finding more. And honestly, most people do not have a problem with coming up with ideas. I know I certainly don't. We usually have too many ideas. And the problem is not idea generation, it's idea selection. So before you hop on a new trend or go out to find more trends, be asking these questions. Are people already searching for this? Are there similar products already selling? Are newer listings getting traction? Or is this something that has a lot of different competing listings for the same type of trend? Do I have a way to make this better, more unique, more clearer, more prettier, something different than what is already performing well? And then finally, can I actually get this listed quickly? Not, is it going to take me 3 hours to make? Because if it's that type of trend, I would honestly just pass over on it. So yes, trends matter, but endlessly looking for trends is not the business. Choosing one, creating a product, getting it listed is the business, and then we move on to the next. Now, going back to what I was talking about earlier, I recently started a brand new P&G shop. I did make an entire video about that. If you want to watch that after this, it will be linked directly after this video, and it's in the P&G niche, and I did a lot of things differently. So this one relates specifically to volume and quality over quantity. So I was able to get my first sale within 48 hours with only 6 listings up. So this is not a huge shop. It's nothing compared to my other bigger shop that I do share publicly, but they were 6 really high quality, well-researched ideas. Now, only 2 of them have ended up selling, which is always the case. 80% of your listings are going to barely make sales or just randomly make sales, whereas 20% will do the majority of the heavy lifting. So this is very normal. But the key thing is here is that I spent a lot of time looking for something that had really low competition because, as I mentioned, I have 0 reviews and this is a new shop with 0 sales. And so I made sure that there was basically no competition. So I took something that was already trending and working well in a specific design style and remade it for an upcoming holiday or season where there was no competition. Now there's already searches for that said season or holiday, which it's the 4th of July, so it's about to end soon because you want to have your listings about 2 to 3 months up in advance for that. So this will die off very soon. But the point is that there wasn't any competition because nobody had thought to go and make these in this particular season or holiday. I did not obsess this time with getting a lot of listings up to make the store look full. I just wanted to get up a few listings that I knew could get the most traction the quickest. The shop now has over 20 sales and I'm only up to 12 listings. So this tiny little test shop that I have going is basically my petty receipt to say to everybody that the Etsy algorithm does not take 30 or 60 or 90 days to rank a product, which is what it used to do when the algorithm was different. You just have to be able to put up something that is in demand where there is low competition if you are new. If you are not brand new, let's say I put this on my other shop, you don't necessarily have to worry about competition as much because you have a history with Etsy in terms of sales. But for a new shop, you want to make sure that there is not going to be barely anybody competing with you, if any. So next, let's talk about mockups. So people love to obsess about mockups. And the thing with mockups is no matter how great they are or you purchased them or how expensive that they are, they cannot save a bad design. People worry about the sizing and how close it is to the edges or how their product or their design looks on the mockup. But at the end of the day, if the design is still not right, the mockup is not going to help it. On the flip side, a bad mockup can hurt a good product. So if you are not able to choose a high converting mockup based on what is performing well in the Etsy algorithm, then your best bet, especially if you are in the digital design space, is just to place it on a white background and not mess around with the mockup situation at all. The biggest things with mockups is that you want to make sure that the focus is still on the actual product that you're selling. So the digital design, the Tumblr wrap, the SVG file, you want to make sure that it's not pulling away from the primary focus of the design. You want to make sure that it is clear of what the product is so that it's an actual t-shirt, so that it's not cut off so it just looks like a piece of cloth or something like that. And then you just want to make sure that it's well lit and it ties to the style of the design that you're selling. So for example, if you have a beachy type of summery design and you go and put it on a really dark gothic type of a mock-up, it completely takes away from the design and then would cause confusion, and therefore no one would purchase it. So this one should be good to hear for most of you, because most people who walk into this are not graphic designers. I know that I certainly am not. And that is that research is going to beat good design skills any day. Because with the AI tools that we have now, we're able to create and replicate design styles super easily. It's more about the research. So you have to be able to have an eye for what is performing well, or what is moving up, or what is trending, because the creation part is actually the easy part if you are using AI. A lot of people still believe that better art equals more sales, but the thing is, Etsy is a marketplace, and the buyer is not always looking for the most artistic, perfect design. They are looking for the design that speaks the most to them, that is in style, that is trending, that is cool and hip and now. So you can think of it as relevance beats prettiness any day of the week. So when you're doing your research, you really have to take note at what is actually performing now, not what performed last year or what perhaps we might like, because we kind of all want our personal taste to be like the industry standard, and that's just not the way it works. Because unfortunately, Etsy does not care if I currently hate pink bows. If that is what people are buying, then that is what needs to be created. So next, let's talk about ads. So a lot of people jump to, should I run ads? My listing is not selling. Do I need to turn on ads? And ads are not the answer for a listing that is not performing. This usually goes back to the research and the creation phase not being done correctly, and ads are not going to fix that. If anything, it will just lose you money. Again, they will not fix a product that people don't want. Again, my listing sold within 48 hours without ads, and that was because it was created in a design style that was super trendy. There wasn't anything else out there like it at the time. Now there is, and so it got purchased. Eventually, I did start to run ads on it because it did start to sell more, and since I had the proof of concept, it had been purchased organically, I decided to turn more ads on it. If you are really good at style recognition and trend research, and you know what you've created will sell, then you can test ads on it. Just know that if it's not created in line with what's actually selling, don't expect ads to like perform a miracle. I usually only ever recommend to start ads on something that has already performed organically. Okay, next is that simple products sell faster than complicated ones. Now, what I mean by this is a lot of new sellers like to rush out and build a bundle of 400 listings, or try to create something in 7 different file formats just to make sure the customer gets everything that they could possibly want. And that leads to overwhelm and a lot of complication. With PNGs and SVGs and Tumblr wraps or wall art, it's very often better just to start with one until you can make your process be repeatable and easy before you start diving into the world of bundles and whole shop strategy, as that can just lead you to stop doing anything at all, because it takes a lot to get those bundles put together, make sure that they are themed correctly, and then actually listed properly. Once you get your process in a way that makes it feel easy, you can start to bundle your existing products in theme bundles. Let's say you do a PNG shop. You could have several ones that are performing well, say in the teacher niche. So then you build a teacher bundle based off of what you already have that is proven to convert. So you're not just going and creating 12 different teacher PNGs and listing them without any data behind it. Okay, so next is that consistency beats a perfect listing every time. The more repetitions that you get in, meaning in the more products that you create, the more listings that you list, the more perfect that you're going to get. Instead of like waiting around and trying to perfect something and take 3 or 4 hours to build something out, I would rather you focus on creating individual listings in a sustainable format consistently, and that will eventually lead to as close as perfect as possible. A lot of people treat Etsy like it's going to be like an open art gallery or something where every listing has to be perfect, their SEO is perfect, their mock-up is perfect, and they get really emotionally attached to their listings, and then when they don't sell, it's a letdown because they've spent so much time on it, which is why it's better to get a less than perfect listing out that you are not attached to, because at the end of the day, it's going to take a lot more than just a few listings to make consistent income. And again, 80% of them are not going to sell as well as you think they are, and only 20% will. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the steps and the process that people like to do things in. So a lot of people like to just throw up an AI image generator and just start prompting or getting stuff off of like the inspiration board and just start creating without doing anything else first, or then they go and look at mock-ups, or they try to tweak their Etsy banner and their announcement section, which at the end of the day, none of that actually matters. So the real Etsy path is just 5 steps. And that is to, number 1, research what people are actually buying. Second, you are going to create something related to that research. You are going to try and make it better or more unique or different while maintaining what the actual search was for. And that is why we can use AI to come up with different angles, different types of styles that would work for that original product that we found that was doing well. Next, you go ahead and list it. Number 4 is just to look at the data and see what actually works. And then 5 is just to repeat what works and not do what didn't perform. So at the end of the 4-month cycle that you get with a listing, you'll know right away if that listing performed or didn't, and you'll know what to make more of. If it didn't get any clicks at all, no views, no visits, it was honestly something probably wrong with both the SEO and the design itself. If it did get lots of views and visits, that means your SEO was right. There was demand because people found it, but they didn't actually have a connection with it because they didn't purchase it. So it was usually the design. Now let's talk about tools versus systems. Selling digital products on Etsy is more about the system that you are using than your tools. A lot of Etsy sellers think an AI generator is going to fix an issue, a better keyword tool, one that has better results versus another one, or a different mock-up is going to make the difference. And tools like that are really helpful, but they are not the entire system. In fact, most of it can be done without a keyword research tool or without a mock-up generator. Because a person with just 1 to 2 different tools but a really clean workflow can outperform a person with 11 subscriptions that has no workflow at all. Tools can definitely speed up the whole system, but they do not replace anything or make anything better inherently. Again, the simple system looks like this. You research, you create what is in demand, you list it, and then you repeat what's working. If your workflow doesn't look like this and looks more like chaos, a new AI tool will just help you create more chaos faster. So honestly, I do not think that Etsy is hard. However, Etsy becomes hard when you treat it like an art contest or an SEO puzzle that can't be solved or a trend scavenger hunt. The sellers who win are usually not the ones who are the most talented. They're just the ones who can simplify a process and do something step by step over and over again. They make decisions faster, list consistently, and then just pay attention to what the buyers are actually doing. If you can remember these couple of things, SEO matters, but it will not create demand for you. Your mock-ups do matter, but they cannot save a bad design. Trends also matter, but collecting trends and putting them on a Miro board does not actually list products. Ads also can help, but they cannot help a bad design. Tools can help and make you faster, but it's the actual systems that let you win. Simple products can sell faster than complicated ones because they're much easier to make. Consistency will create data for you to look at to know what to do next. And then finally, research before any creation. This will save you the most amount of time. You are not behind because you need to do more. Most likely, you just need to simplify what you are already doing and follow a set process. If you've made it this far, the link in the description is my 3-step checklist. It actually goes to my AI resource hub where all of these are placed. So if you've signed up for that before, it is in there. It's called the 3-step seller checklist, and it will walk you through the exact 3 steps that we've talked about here and some pointers along the way, as that is all that it takes to be successful on Etsy, regardless of which product type that you're selling. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.